Welcome to Scientific Foundations for Nursing Practice. This is one of the very first classes you're going to take here at Palm Beach Atlantic University's Graduate School of Nursing, and both DNP students and master's degree students take this course. This course has kind of an interesting spot in the curriculum in that a lot of people coming back to graduate school either had a poor foundation in science in terms of research, or they just don't remember anything from that. We also sometimes have undergraduate students who are kind of like dual enrolled in the graduate program, and so this course serves as their research course as well. So this course is going to explore some of the scientific foundations of nursing as a practice, but it's also going to serve as a research refresher course for those of you who have been out of school for a little while, or for those of you who are like, well, I just hate research, and research is the reason why I can never do grad school. I've talked to a lot of people over the years who the number one barrier to them coming to graduate school is the fear of research. So what we're going to try and do in this class is make things as painless as possible, but give you a foundation that will take you into the next semester and set you up for success, so that when you get to the Advanced Nursing Research course next semester, you're ready for success and you're not intimidated or scared. That is our number one goal for this semester. So before we do that, let's just talk a little bit about some of the things that you need to know in terms of this course. There are 7 units in this course, and each unit takes up 2 weeks. So each unit, there's 7 units, 2 weeks each unit, so that's 14 weeks total in a semester. So if you look in Canvas at the way the modules are set up, they're usually set up for things that you're going to do on week 1 and then things that are going to do on week 2. And so most of the time, not always, but most of the time, when there is an assignment that's a threaded discussion, there's going to be a due date in week 1. And so what you're going to do is, by the day that it's due on week 1, you're going to post an initial post. So you're going to say, here's what I think. And then you have until the end of the following week, the end of week 2, to do a follow-up post on a classmate's post. So basically it's trying to foster a discussion. So someone says, here's what I think, and then you come along behind and you say, well, that's a really interesting point. Have you thought about this? Now, the most important thing about follow-up posts is that follow-up posts need to be meaningful. They need to contribute to the discussion. So, oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. That's really interesting. Those are nice affirmation words, but they don't really help a person be better. They don't contribute to the conversation. So what we want you to do when you do your follow-up post is we want you to say something substantive. And it is okay to disagree with someone. You can say, well, that's an interesting point, but in my experience it's been this way. Well, that's an interesting point, but here's a source that says the opposite of that. I wonder why that is, or here's why I think that is. So that is actually contributing to the conversation and not just saying, oh, wow, that's cool, yay. You're not going to get points for those kinds of follow-up posts. Now, there's a couple different ways that threaded discussions can be done, and there's kind of a standard rubric that's used for grading them in the School of Nursing that talks about having scholarly sources. You do not need any scholarly sources when you're writing your posts in this class. So all of the posts in this class are, I give you a reading, and then I want you to discuss that reading. So you don't need to cite the reading because we all know that we're talking about the reading. The only time you need to cite a source is if you're bringing in an outside source. So let's say that there's an article about statistics, and as long as you're confining what you're talking about to your thoughts about that article, you don't need to cite anything. But if you say that there was a news story a week ago and you want to cite that news story as part of your post, then you need to cite that. But for the most part, you could ignore that requirement in the syllabus rubric where it says you need to have citations for each threaded discussion. We're not going to be doing that in this particular class. So that's the first thing. What we're going to try and do here is we're going to be doing two things concurrently. So we're going to be looking at some philosophical ideas behind the foundations of science for nursing, but we're also going to be looking at very concrete research process sorts of things. So in every unit, every module, what you're going to see some of those two elements. So in this very first one, we're going to look at some of the interplay of faith and religion and science. Now, I'm just going to give you a quick little spoiler. Everyone thinks that it's faith versus science, but in fact, science has a lot of faith in it. So just one quick little example. In order for science to work, you have to assume that the world, or you have to believe that the world is a regular place that operates under established rules. If you don't have that assumption going into science, then you really can't do science. So the underlying assumption of science is a faith's position that the world acts in predictable, uniform ways. So that is one of the key things in science. So faith permeates everything, not just religion. And that's going to be one of the themes that we take through into this course. So there's a couple different videos that you're going to watch, and you're going to be discussing your reactions to those videos in that thread of discussion that I had talked about earlier. So again, as long as you're confining your thoughts and discussion to the actual video, you don't need to cite it. But if you're bringing in outside sources, please go ahead and cite those outside sources so that other people can actually find them.